boxing on Channel 5. Defending his name, his legacy. Harlem Eubank, battling his way up the super lightweight rankings. Can he remain undefeated? Big Fight Live, Eubank versus Uruzquieta, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me Queensbury's very own Dev Sahni. Dev, firstly, how are we?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you? I'm loving the WBC cap, by the way. Good.
Shout out Mauricio
Good
Solomon
brand to be repping.
Yeah, shout out Mauricio Solomon. How was your trip to Italy? I saw some images on your Instagram.
Just mental, mate. But basically, so it's like sometimes I do the York Hall shows as the BTMC. For one of them, I introduced some Italian fighter who Mark Chamberlain was fighting, and his manager just absolutely loved me. And he just like invited me to come and do a gig for them. So I did it, and it was quite surreal, quite a wild night. But glad I did it.
A worldwide MC.
Yeah, well, I guess so. There was a madness where, after I introduced them and did the proper, and in this corner and in this corner, crowds loving it, etc. I'm waiting to get in the middle, stick the mic under the referee, but then everyone was just like, and no one left the ring. I was like, what is going on here? Then the national anthems kick in. It's like, no one told me. No one told me. So I'd got everyone G'd up, and then I'm just waiting, and then national anthem. So, yeah, bit of a learning experience there.
Absolutely. Dev, let's jump straight in. Yesterday, we saw the return of Anthony Joshua in the boxing ring against Jermaine Franklin. A lot of people knew Jermaine because of his past experience of Dillian Whyte. Just your overall assessment of Anthony Joshua's return back to the ring.
Look, so he was selected. Jermaine Franklin was selected because this was a fight that was meant to help Anthony Joshua's confidence, meant to help his stock go up as well, obviously, and get everyone's mouth watering for those big fights, the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and think, yeah, AJ's back. This was an AJ's back fight, or it was supposed to be. So, but I don't see how you can build your confidence by being taken the distance by Jermaine Franklin, and he's taking flush shots. Like, he's taking a lot of flush shots in there and not budging. So, did the confidence get built? I don't think so. Did he look more confident after the fight? I don't know. You look around the ring, it looked like they'd lost. And I think there was that feeling there. So confidence was meant to be built. I think confidence actually took a bit of a knock. How can it not when someone's taking your best shots and everyone's telling you you're going to knock this fella out? Your stock was meant to go up. I actually think the stock went down. He was probably stock-wise, he may have even been in a better place post-Usyk because people were picking out some good moments in the fight and how he performed better in the second fight than he did in the first fight. Now it's just, there was a general feeling of the guy that we used to see who used to poke his tongue out and knock people out and swing, he's not there anymore. And now it's the case of, they talk about Tyson Fury, but even Eddie is now saying, yeah, I still fancy him to have like another fight. He needs to learn under Derek James kind of thing. Whereas if he'd have banged him out in the first half of the fight, which I think a lot of people were expecting, they would have with their chest called out Tyson Fury. They would be banging down the door, I'm sure. And there would be a big collective will to make that fight. But I don't know. Bit of a strange one.
What do you think that's ultimately down to? As you mentioned, that killer instinct in Anthony Joshua doesn't seem to exist anymore. He didn't feel like he wanted to throw many combinations yesterday. Dominic Ingle did an interview a couple of months ago on Boxing Comedian. He said that he feels Anthony Joshua has already peaked. Would you align yourself to those terms?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a new factor in all of that. I completely hear what Dom's saying. The new factor is Derek James, one of the best coaches in the world. So if he's got a chance of getting any better, it's going to be in that circumstance. He's done everything that everyone sort of told him, right, after the second Usyk loss, change your team up a little bit, get rid of all the trainers and just get one voice. Go out to America, go Rocky style, go back to basics. He's actually listened and done all of that, taken himself away. So he's giving himself the best chance and he's putting himself in good places to do it. But I don't know. I just think the mental scars that still linger from Klitschko, from Ruiz, they still linger a little bit too strong, and he doesn't really throw his punches with bad intentions in combinations anymore. I think he needs to be absolutely certain that he's got his guy hurt before he does that, and he never really had Jermaine Franklin hurt. So has he peaked? I think there is a good chance that that is the case, but the door is open because of what he is doing. Like, he's taking himself to Derek James.
You said that his confidence and his stock went down. Do you feel like when he looks back now, everyone was hoping that he gets Jermaine out within the first 6 rounds? Spencer Fearon said
Yeah.
if he doesn't get Jermaine out within 6 rounds, he should retire. How does that prep him now for the Furies, the Wilders, the Joyces, a performance like that?
But I think they'll talk about those fights. This is the game. This is what will happen. There will be noise about Fury. There'll be noise about Wilder. There'll be noise about Joyce, just like there was in the build up to the fight. But ultimately, the next fight won't be against any of those guys. It probably will be against Dillian White. But even with that, I don't know. He seems to. The pressure seems to be a lot at the moment. A lot of his interviews in the build up to this, he was talking about the pressure, and he seemed like a guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders heading into this fight. Now, will a fight with Dillian White, will that be even more pressure, or is it about the same? I don't know. Maybe he needs another Jermaine Franklin type. I don't know, but his next fight, I can't imagine that it will be against the top guys. I think there's a number of heavyweights that start as a favourite against him at the moment, and I don't think he'd be fighting any of those guys.
One of the things that Eddie Hearn has gone on to record and say yesterday that Anthony Joshua will be an underdog going into a fight with Tyson Fury. Now that tone has slightly changed over the last 12 months now, where Anthony Joshua will beat Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua will knock out Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua is an underdog against Tyson Fury, are Eddie's words.
Yeah, look, and it's almost sad to see, because like there is no bigger, obviously it's his job, hype merchant of Anthony Joshua, than Eddie Hearn, and that's quite a concession. I think he's always known, really. I mean, I think so. I think he knows Fury's all sorts of problems for him, but he's had to say his thing as Joshua's his guy. But I don't know. So it was always quite sad to see that concession of a point, saying you start as the underdog. That's almost saying you think he may lose that fight. I don't know. I saw an interview with Dave Coldwell where he said it was a bit sad, and I would probably agree with that. And it felt like a little bit of air went out of the balloon of heavyweight boxing. That's what it felt like to me. Just a little bit, because look, he still won, etc. But it could have been so much more. It could have been I'm back. Who's next? And it was more like, I'm back. Who's next? I don't know.
One of the things that Anthony Joshua said post-fight, he mentioned that it'll be an honor to fight for the WBC belt, for that gold against Tyson Fury. Let's be real here, Dev. We're not sure how long Anthony Joshua has got left in himself to continue fighting at this particular level. But ultimately, is that Tyson Fury fight the one that he wants? Because ultimately, that will make him probably hundreds of millions, and that might just see him walk out the sport with a big bag of cash.
But I think he probably does want it. I think it's very rare that a fighter himself will not want to fight. It's what fighters do. So would Anthony Joshua fight Tyson Fury? Yes, and vice versa. Anthony Joshua, I think he would fight anyone, but it's just a case of how easily you can be talked out of it. And I think he's got enough people around him to talk him out of it. Essentially, I think that's what happened in December, and now you're seeing more and more they're talking about, the timing was definitely wrong for him to fight Fury in December. Well, yeah, look, it was, and ultimately the fight didn't happen. Really, because of that, it wasn't great timing for Anthony Joshua. We talk about deadlines and all of this stuff. Like if the fight really was there to be made for him, he would have done it. He would have taken it. But yeah, it's all very interesting. It's all very interesting. I think he would want to fight anyone, but I think he can get talked out of it.
Tyson Fury doesn't currently have any mandatories. He's going to hopefully fight in the summer. Eddie, Frank Smith have said, listen, we'll get on to George Warren and we'll talk behind the scenes. We won't do many interviews. We're trying to get everything done in the background. Hand on heart, do you think we see that next?
I mean, I don't know. I'd love to see it. It's still one of the biggest fights out there in boxing. But no, let's see, because Eddie and George seem to be getting on well at the moment. That's a good thing. So there's no immediate barrier. They've talked before about how it was all kind of agreed before. The template of it. So if there is genuine kind of a will to make that fight, I'm sure Eddie will be in touch. I don't know what Tyson's going to do next. Like, you can't really guess that. But there's also Joyce, who Anthony Joshua said in the build-up, he's one of the guys that he wants to fight. Now, that's another guy. I can't imagine that. I'd imagine he'd get talked out of that one very quickly as well. I just think there's a number of guys who'd start as a favourite against him that he probably won't fight next. But you just never know. Look, I'm not the decision maker around that. I'm sure Eddie and George will have a chat, and if it's got genuine legs, it will get done. I just don't want to see this public protracted negotiations. You talk about the fight, talk about it, and then it's a different fight. Like, I think collectively everyone's just a bit bored.
Dave, just moving away quickly, we saw yesterday Conor Benn made his first appearance to a boxing event, taking pictures and selfies with fans. He then was approached by Gareth A. Davis of TalkSport with the microphone, and Gareth said he will try to ask Conor a few questions, and Conor, almost with a security guard in between, kind of pushed the mic away from Gareth. Gareth took no offense, but nevertheless, wasn't a great sign to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's full on villain now. He's turned heel, so to speak. I don't know if he's particularly comfortable in the villain role. In his heart, I think he is someone who wants public acceptance, just from my kind of read on him. So he's having to take this villain role now. He's kind of been backed into a corner of becoming the villain because he's not taking the course of action that the public are happy with, and he's blaming everyone other than himself, pointing fingers and sort of lashing out. Was it a great look? Depends on what you want to do. Did it? There seems to be a feeling right now that he can almost do no wrong because everything heightens his profile. So did yesterday heighten his profile? Yes. Did it do like loads and loads of views? Yes. Are we talking about it in a subsequent interview after an Anthony Joshua fight? Yes. So controversy creates cash. He might have just added another little bit to his next paycheck just because he's being talked about more. That's the game we are in right now.
Talking of paychecks, we'll wait and see over the next 7 to 10 days if that fight does happen with Chris Eubank Jr. I'm sure we'll catch up in detail. Dev, appreciate jumping on this Sunday mid-morning and giving me a little bit of time. Yeah, enjoy your day, and I'll hopefully catch up with you very soon.
No worries. You too, mate. Take
Dev,
care.
Sahni,
All the best.
IFL TV.
Right,
Thank you.
let me give you
very
thumbnail.
much.
Let me give you that. Let me give you that thumbnail. Got it.
Dev, Sahni,
Yeah. See you
IFL
later,
TV.
mate.
Thank you very much.
Right, the bouncer's Gilpin.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,